Hello everyone, this is Professor Robert Solis. Welcome to our next video lesson. What I'm going to do is to introduce strings. Now strings are nothing more than a collection of characters. So really, a string is an array. And a string has address. For example, Robert, my first name, R-O-B-E-R-T, R is in position 0. O is in position 1. B is in position 2, so forth and so on. So let's go ahead and show you some of the different ways in C# that we can work with strings. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new project. And of course, this is going to be a C# program. So we'll select C#. This is going to be a Windows Forms application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in C#. And we're dealing with strings. And this is going to be an introduction to the usage of strings. So I'll just type in C# strings intro. Let me click OK, give it a couple seconds, and of course the form opens up. We are going to drag and drop a button, a label, and a text box. So let me go ahead and go into the common controls. I can just simply tap on button, simply tap on label, and then simply tap on text box, which is right here, and put those onto the form. Let me go ahead and open up the form just a little bit more than that. I'm going to close the toolbox because that's pretty much all I need. I am going to open up the properties panel, and I'm going to change all of these to 12 points. So what I'll do is this. You see the rubber band box effect, as you can see here. Let me select all 3 of these at the same time, and then I'll go to the font property, and I'll just simply type in the number 12 where it says size, and then all 3 of these get changed simultaneously. Now I'm going to take this label, after I unselect and reselect, move this label over here to the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to change the text property. So the text property is going to say enter full name. So I want the user to enter their full name. Then what I want to do is I'll put a button underneath that says submit. I want to be able to convert their name all to lowercase, all to uppercase. I want to grab the first word. I want to grab the second word. I want to insert Mr. in front of it. And then I want to determine how big the string is. Okay, so I've got several things that I'm going to work with. All right, so I'll just simply take this text box and move it into position. And I'm going to make this a little bit longer so that the user can have plenty of space to enter their first and last name. Then I'll take this button, and let's also make it so that it spans across all the way like this. Probably a little bit too big right there. Just make it a little smaller. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to change the text property to submit. Now I have some labels to place down here. So let's do this. Let me go ahead and take this label over here, copy and paste. And I'm going to change this text property to uppercase. And I'm actually going to type it all in capital letters like this. And then the lowercase wording, I'll put that all in lowercase. But let me say uppercase over here, and I'll move this all the way over here like this. I'm just trying to get a gauge for what that's going to look like. I'll take this label and again copy and paste it. But for this label, I have to change some things. First of all, I'm going to make this auto size false. Then I'm going to make this border style fixed single. Then I can go ahead and make an adjustment like this. Notice that I'm looking at the magenta underline next to that label to make sure that it's at the same level. And then I'll go ahead and drag and drop this all the way over here like this. And let's say that, you can see here from the uppercase text over here that it's left aligned. I want to make it so that it's center aligned. So I'll go down here to text align and change that to top center. Now you can see that the text is aligned in the middle. I can now get rid of the text. So I'll just simply go to the text property, double click, backspace, press enter. That takes care of that. So I'm going to see, I'm looking at my notes. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total of these labels over here. So what I'll do is I'll select both of these. And the way I'm going to do that is to tap, hold down, and touch this, and then Control C for copy, Control V, Let me move this into position. Control V as in Victor, and of course you know that that's paste. Let me just take these last three here. So I'll just, oh darn it, look what I did. I double clicked on the form. Actually, you know what? That's actually not too bad because I was thinking, oh, I have to erase that code. But double clicking on the form, as long as I don't type any code here, I'm okay. So let me just go back over here. I accidentally did that. What I meant to do was just select these three right here and then copy and paste. And then I can move those into position like this. Something like that. That looks pretty good. And then I have to change the text property for these various items. But before I do that, let me just close the form. Let me get rid of the maximize and the minimize box. So let's double click on maximize box, double click on minimize box. And over here, instead of the word form1, I'm going to type strings experiment. Strings experiment. And then what I'll do is over here, I need to change all of these different text properties. So that top one right there, we're going to call that lowercase. And so on purpose, I type everything in lowercase. Now you'll notice that it moves everything over here to the left. I think I'm just going to drag this carefully, move it like this. See how the magenta underline matches with that label and how the colon is appropriately placed over here. There's a little line over here so that the colon has a good distance between this label and that label. This can stay uppercase. This guy over here, we're going to say first word. So first word. Again, we'll end that with a colon. And then I need to move this over slightly, so carefully. Let me just take this guy and move it over here like this. That looks pretty good. This guy over here, we're going to say last, or second word rather. So second word. And then I just have a little bit of movement necessary for this guy. Right there, that looks good. And then we have inserted quote Mr. Because the idea is I'm going to type in Robert Solis. So I'm going to then show you how I can insert something into the string. And so for me, I'm going to insert Mr. But if you want to put Mrs. or Miss or Doctor or PhD or whatever prefix that you wanted to enter, yeah, you could do that here. Again, the idea is just to show you what this looks like. Oh, you know what I forgot to put is a colon after that. So let me put a colon, and then I'll go ahead and drag and drop this. That looks pretty good right there. And then finally, what is the length of the string that I'm going to type up here? So I'll just simply double click, and I'll say string length. Again, don't forget the colon. And then go ahead and move that into position. So let me see here. Got that right there. Looks pretty good. The magenta underline, that looks good. I don't know why this seems... Let's see here. Did I insert this properly? Oh, okay. I guess I could have moved it over just a little bit more. There we go. Seems a little bit more aligned now. Save my work. And of course, we have to give names to the various items. So for this top text box, let me go over here to the name property. And I'm going to give it the name txt user string. So txt user string for this guy. For the button, we're going to call that btn submit. And then for the various labels, we're just going to give them the names just like the label next to them. So this guy over here will be LBL lowercase. And then the next label will say LBL uppercase. Now notice that when I gave it the name, I didn't type everything in capital letters as I did over here. I just did that to exaggerate the idea that this is all going to be in uppercase letters. And then LBL first word. LBL first word. And then LBL second word. Second word. And then for this one, I just said LBL inserted. So LBL inserted. Because the idea is we're going to insert a prefix to the name that was typed above. And then finally over here, we'll just simply say LBL length of string. So LBL length of string. Let me click Save All, and let me just double check everything here. So my eyes are over here, making sure that I've typed in everything correctly. LBL inserted, second word, first word, uppercase, lowercase, BTN submit rather, TXT user string. Looks good. Let me go ahead and click over here, save all. And yeah, I think we're in good shape. All right, so let me go ahead now and double click the button. That takes us, of course, into the code area. And so I'm going to minimize the properties panel so I can take a look at the code area. And we're going to start off with our comments, such as declarations, get user input, calculations, and then output. And of course, not every program has these, but it's a good place to start. Okay. Well, now let me go ahead and create some of the various strings that I'm going to use to capture the user's string that they're going to type. And then I'm going to want to have a variable for the lowercase, uppercase, first word, second word. So back over here, I will create a string called user string, and I'll set that to nothing at first. I can set it to blank. We do the same thing with lowercase, uppercase, first word, and then finally second word. So these are the variables that I'm going to use to capture those strings. Now let's go over here to the get user input, and obviously I need to be able to get the string that's typed in here, and we're going to put that into user string. So we'll say user string. We're going to go to the text box called user string. So I type in txt. Let me press tab. Dot te. Okay, that selects the text property. Perfect. And then I'll just simply hit the semicolon. So what we have done now is to obtain the user input from the text box. Well, now that I have that, let me go ahead and deal with these two easy operations, such as obtaining the lowercase and also the uppercase. And so the way that we do that is as follows. First of all, let me take that user string, which I have now. So I've obtained from the text box the text that was entered by the user. We're going to put that into user string. But watch this. When I type in user string, dot, all of these properties are at my disposal. And the one that I want, I'm going to type in TO and then L for to lower. And let's see what it says. It says returns a copy of this string converted to lowercase. That's exactly what I want. So I'm going to press tab, open and close parentheses, semicolon at the very end. And so what this thing does is it takes the string, whatever it happens to be, whatever it contains, and it converts everything to lowercase. Well, let's do the same thing for uppercase. So I'll type in uppercase. Again, we are going to assign that user string, but look what I'm going to do to the user string. I'm going to convert that to upper, open and close parentheses with the semicolon. Okay, so to convert something into uppercase, to convert something into lowercase, as you can see, pretty easy to do that. Now, we're not finished with our program, but let me just kind of jump ahead over here to the output section. And what I'll do is I'll say LBL lowercase. So, there it is, lowercase. Let me hit tab, dot text property. What am I going to put into there? I'm going to put into there the variable lowercase, because you saw what I did. I took the user string, converted it into lowercase. I assigned it into a variable called lowercase. Now I'm going to take that and put it right back into the text box. Into the text property of this label. And I'll do the same thing for uppercase as well. So LBL uppercase dot text. I'll put whatever is inside this variable, uppercase, I'm going to put that into the text property of that label. So let me run the program just to see what happens. And I'll type in here, Robert Solis. You type in your first and last name. And let me click submit. Nice. So you'll see over here, after I click submit, the lowercase form of my name, as you can see here, is all letters are lowercase. The uppercase form of my name, as you can see here, all uppercase letters. So if you need that functionality to convert something to uppercase or lowercase, let me stop the program here. Then you're just simply going to use to upper or to lower. Okay. All right, so that's easy string manipulation. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little bit more detailed of how it is that we can work with strings. So let me type a comment here, and then I'm going to put a space, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the square bracket 0 closing square bracket. I'm going to copy this and paste it for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then I'm going to double click over here where it says overwrite, so that I can type in a 1 over here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now here, I can't type in 10, so I'm going to take off the overwrite, so I can just simply type in 10 over here, and this guy's going to be 11. You recall when we were talking about arrays, and if you're watching this video lesson and you don't know what an array is, arrays or strings have positions. So for example, if I have a string, Robert Solis, like this, then R is located in the 0 position. O is located in the 1 position, and so forth and so on. So let me type in these letters. And then this will be a space, and then we'll say capital S, O, L, I, S. Where is T located? T is located at index 5. Where is capital R located? That is located at index 0. So we call these series of numbers, we call them either subscripts or indices or index. What is located at index 9? Oh, that would be the letter L. Now, I could also say element. Now, element is different. So what is the first element? That's R. What is the second element? O. What is the third element? B. Or I could use the language of index. What is at index 0? R. What is at index 1? O. What is at index 2? B. So I'm going to type in this name. Now, would you agree that the first word starts at index 0? And it's how many in length? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what I'm going to do is to use a tool that says, starting from position 0, grab the next 6 characters. Would you agree that the second word starts at position 7, or index 7, and it's 5 in length? So for the second word, I'm going to say, starting at position 7, grab the next 5 characters. Now that's for me, that's for my name. Now if you're typing in your name, it's going to be different, of course, right, in terms of the indices for the beginning of your second name, or the length of your first and second name, so forth and so on. But let me just show you how to do it with my name, and then you can adapt it. Now, I would never write a program like this, because this is custom made for Robert Solis. Later on, I'll show you how to make it so that it can apply to any name. But for right now, we want to just deal with the simple concepts. So the first word is going to be extracted from user string. We know that user string for me, when I type in my name, it's going to be Robert space Solis. So what am I trying to do? Dot, type in sub, and that's all you need to type, and you see that this guy appears, substring. Let me hit tab now. What does substring do? What substring does is to take a chunk of your string. But, as you can see over here from this second flavor, you've got to give it a beginning index. Where do you want to start from? And how many characters do you want to obtain? Well, if I want to get Robert, you see that I've got to start from position 0. So I'm going to type in the number 0 here, comma. Now, I've got to get the length of the string. And as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll type in the number 6 here. And then I'll put a semicolon at the end, press enter. All right, so I want you to understand that I'm hard coding on purpose, but I won't hard code on the next video lecture that I give you. I just want you to understand the concept that here's what we've got. The 0 represents the starting point. The 6 represents how many characters to grab. So when you use substring, you always give it a starting point, and then you say, this is how many characters I want you to grab. Okay? Let's do the same thing for the second word. So, say second word. What am I going to do? I am going to extract from the user string that was typed in the text box over here. I'm going to extract from that. So if I'm going to extract, I use substring. All right. Now the last name, if I type in Solis, as you can see here, that begins at position number 7, or index 7 for me. So I'm going to put a 7 here. Now, this represents the length. So comma, that represents the length. Let me see here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters to grab. So I'm going to type in a number 5 right there, and then I'll put a semicolon at the end. So substring is a really cool function that allows you to grab a part of the string and put that, or grab a part of the string and then you can put that into a variable. Now we're not finished, but I'm going to go over here to the output section and I'm going to say LBL first word, dot text, and I'm going to assign the variable first word to that text property of the label. LBL last. Oh, wait a minute. Did I not name a label called LBL last word? Let's see here. Or second word. I'm sorry. I call it second word. Sorry about that. LBL second. There it is. Let me go ahead and type in the text property. And the second word variable is going to be assigned to the text property of that particular label. Okay, I'm going to save my work, run the program. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to click Start, and then I type in my name here. Hit Submit. So first word grabs Robert from the string. Second word grabbed Solis from the string as well. All right, looks good. Stop the program. So that is how you use this function here called substring. It is meant to grab chunks of the string. So for example, maybe we tell the user, enter your entire name and enter a prefix. So if someone typed in Mr. Robert Solis or Mrs. Kristen Carroll, say for example, we want to grab the prefix, we want to grab the first name, we want to grab the second name. How do we do that? Well, we're going to use substring to grab the different parts of a string, and then we can do stuff with that particular chunk of the string. All right. So the next thing that I want to talk about is how to use insert. So let me do this. I know that the user is going to type in Robert Solis, and then what I want to do is insert a prefix on purpose that has MR period. So we'll say Mr. Robert Solis. And I want to put it right back into this string over here that says that's user string. So let me change the user string on purpose. What am I going to assign to it? I'm going to assign the user string, but I'm going to dot insert. I'm going to insert a particular chunk of string into the already existing string. Now, parentheses, where do you want me to start? So you'll notice over here it says, give me the starting index. Well, you'll notice over here it says Robert Solis. And what I want to do is I want to push all these letters over and have position 0 have the M, this will be the R, period, space, and then starting from here, it's going to say Robert Solis. So I just want to insert starting at position 0. And then what that does is it pushes everything over, and then I'll say parentheses, MR period with a space, and then closing quotation mark, closing parens, and I'll hit the semicolon right there. What this will do is it will insert a chunk of string into an already existing string. Robert Solis is going to get bumped, Mr. MR period space is going to be inserted. And so that's how we use insert. Okay, so then what I'll do is I'll just put into the LBL, let's see here. LBL inserted, that's it, dot text. And I'll put in now my new version of the user string. I've updated it so that now it's going to have the MR period prefix. Save my work. And let me run the program, see what happens. Once again, I'll type in Robert Solis. I've inserted MR period with a space to an already existing string that had just simply Robert Solis. And so that's how you insert stuff. You use the insert function, give it the location that you want to insert, give it the string that you want to insert, and it places that into the string. I guess you can say this is kind of like a form of concatenation. It's adding to the string. Okay, so the last thing then to do would be to place data over here where it says string length. I want to insert something there. So I'll do this. I'll say LBL length of string dot text. All right. Now that's going to be a number, right? So for example, if I just had Robert Solis, what would that be? Well, it looks like that's from 0 to 11, so we know that that's 12 characters, including the space as a character, right? Now, you'll recall over here that I also added Mr., so that's going to be 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 characters if I include the Mr. in front of the Robert Solis string. Well, if I'm going to be putting something into the text property, I need to convert to string, open and close parentheses, put a semicolon, and then I'm going to put my cursor right back in between the parentheses. If you want to obtain the length of the string, you just simply type in whatever the name of the string is, dot length. And as you can see over here, it gets the number of characters in the current string object. So all I have to do is hit tab over here and we're done. This is going to return a number. I need to take that number, convert it into a string so that I can assign it into the text property of this given label. So I'll just simply save all, run my program. Once again, type in Robert Solis, and there it is, 16. Let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yep, that's right, 16 characters, including the spaces. Those also occupy space. And so that's a total of 16. All right, so that's all that I wanted to talk about in terms of the introduction to strings. There are many other functions that we can use. You learned about length, you learned about insert, you learned about substring, you also learned about to upper and to lower. It could very well be that maybe a user types in data that is in all lowercase or all uppercase, or you want to convert it from one to the other for searching purposes, say for example. All of these functions have a really powerful way of manipulating strings, dealing with strings, and so in the next video lesson, I think what we'll do is we'll take what we've got, but instead of customizing this to Robert Solis, because that's the downside of this program. This program is really devoted to one person who has 6 characters for their first name, 5 characters for their last name. What if a user types in Bob? Okay, so that's only 3 characters with a space after that, and then they type in their last name. And who knows what the last name can be or the first name can be. So we're going to make our program next time more robust so that we consider any person's name and obtain the length. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to determine where the space is. Because if you know where the space is, now you know where the length is. So what we'll do next time is I'll say, hey, are you a space? No. Are you a space? No. 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 Are you a space? Yes. Okay, where are you located? I'm located at index 6. Well, then guess what the length of the string is? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now I know how to get the person's last name. I'll just simply start at position 6 plus 1, which is 7, and then I'll read all the way to the end because I have a way of determining the length. So I'll say, okay, that's 16, and so if that's 16, or with the mister in front of it, right, 16 minus whatever this length is, and I'll show you how we can get the last name and get the first name. If they happen to type a prefix, we can do that as well. Okay. But that'll be for the next video lesson. So that's it for now. This is Professor Robert Solis. I hope this video lesson was helpful. Have a good day. See you next time.